Hi everybody, welcome back once again to the Eastfield Gunroom YouTube channel with me, Matthew Morgan. As ever, I just want to thank you all for your support, engaging with us, liking and subscribing to the channel because it helps us make fantastic content like we bring you weekly. So the gun we're going to look at today is a Browning Ultra XS Titanium Prestige Sporter. Now there's a mouthful when you've got a mouthful of coffee and a load of hobnobs. Now we have looked at a Browning Ultra XS before. We've looked at a couple. We looked at the original XS. So if you haven't seen the video, do check it out. And of course, we've looked at a couple of times now the modern offering from Browning, which is the bang up to date Ultra XS Pro. Now there is a gun that fits in the middle. You might not have seen it before, and I'm going to show it to you today. So the Ultra XS Titanium Prestige was launched back in 2007. So what Browning did is there's actually a gun that comes before this, which very few people will have seen because it was a limited run. And as ever, Browning produced a limited run shotgun and didn't tell anybody what it was because there was no certificate, there was nothing special about it, it was only in their heads. What it was the traditional Ultra XS engraving with exhibition grade wood and titanium chokes, and they called it the Ultra XS Titanium. They only made 100 pieces. If you've got one, keep hold of it because they're a really nice gun and they only made them for a very, very short time. This gun launched in 2007, and what it was is they took the original Ultra XS design and ramped it up, certainly in terms of cosmetics, but without detracting from what the gun was all about. And when I say that, I mean it was a big hit with competition clay target shooters worldwide. So we'll start off with the action. As you can see, this for 2007 was quite a funky design. So we've got the global kind of design, looks like the top of the world, like on the old BBC News, and they've coupled that with a Jaffa Cake Inferno or a spinning ninja disc. So they've kept the standard Browning logo, the font, but in addition to the Jaffa Cake Inferno, we've also got a smaller one, which is much more like one of those red and white lollies you used to get at the fun fair, tucked away in the corner, and we've got a gold border. And when I first saw it at the time, I remember these guns coming out new, and I thought, do you know what? That's a bit different. They usually drag engraving patterns from the very back of the filing cabinet, you know, get all the cobwebs and spiders out of the way and say, we've not used this for 20 years. Hats off to Browning though, they did come up with something that was quite radical for the time. So on the other side, it's a mirror image. We've got exactly the same decals. So like I said, in essence, it got the grey finish action, but with these gold embellishments, this kind of looks a bit like a sun. It really stood out. Onto the underside, and again we've got another one. We've got another little spinning Jaffa Cake, and we've got what looks like kind of eagle wings with a fish's head in the middle. I don't know what that was about, but again, it's all about trying to just change things up, change designs all the time, because ultimately shotguns have been around for a long, long time, and you've got to keep one step ahead of the competition. Standard Browning Lockup, by that I mean I say it's the deep body Browning. Browning market this, interestingly, as a 5.25 action. For me, it's not. This gun is the successor to the GTI, which was a very, very famous gun of the 1980s and 1990s. And I've always been led to believe that it's got a slightly wider action and therefore is stronger and better built for its purpose. On the top of the action, in fact, the top lever, we've got another one of these spinning hurricanes. I've got so many words for this gold embellishment. I'm like a thesaurus today. Bit more squiggly stuff on the back of the top lever. It looks a bit like a web design, not dissimilar to the Eagles, Albatrosses underpants on the bottom, and a standard checkered top lever, which is in essence the same as the gun that it replaced. Grey nitride finish as always with the Browning, which is the traditional kind of way, and we go on to the back strap, brush finish with the serial number and a standard Browning selector, top, bottom, and of course it's a manual safety, whereas typically you'll normally get a auto safety kit in the box of any Browning Miracle should you want to take it out game shooting and convert it to auto safe. Now in terms of production, these guns ran from, like I said, 2007 to 2017 before they made way for the Ultra XS Pro. The reason I picked this particular gun is it's a very, very late one. It's 2017, this gun is. Now, I can recall in my former job that I bought what I believe to be the very last of these from Browning, and they were all 2016 guns. So this may have slipped the net, and it could be the most recent one in the UK. Finishing off the metalwork, we have got the brushed satin trigger guard, Browning bookmark with, of course, the gold fully adjustable trigger. Top tip from me, I've said it before in previous videos, with guns we've got adjustable triggers from the Browning Miracle stable. Always make sure you line up your knobbly bit with the dot, because if you don't, you can cause some internal damage, and nobody wants that. Now onto the barrels. This particular gun is a 32-inch example. So if we start from the top, we've got a 13 by 10 tapered rib with a traditional Browning tramline and a traditional Browning centre bead, coupled up with the white foresight bead. Now, the barrels themselves, I always find this really interesting because there's two models. There's the Ultra XS and there's also the 725 Pro Sport, and they've all got a patent pending number on them, but I've never actually learned what it means. You don't get it on a lot of other Brownings. It only seems to be these, and it only seems to be done with this particular rib, which I can only assume is something to do with the rib or the rib manufacturer or the rib design or how the rib's put on, maybe from the spare rib. So we've got a patent pending number on there. We've got 12 gauge, 2 3/4 and 3 inch, because you can put big bombers through these. They are quite a heavy gun, so they do soak up the recoil nicely. And they're ventilated, top rib, ventilated barrels. Moving on to the rest of the barrels, you'll notice here there's a floating bit where the center rib would usually be complete, a vacant area, a bit like in my head sometimes. And at the back here, we've got blued barrel wings. Now, if you go back to some of the original Ultra XSs, they were brushed, they weren't blued. Engine turn, very nicely engine turn. So we've got the block, the ejectors, 18.7 bores, so standard Invector Plus. These are also HP steel proof and CIP. Now, interestingly enough, these barrels actually weigh 1557 grams. According to certificate in the box, it's 1550, which basically means the Browning weren't far off. So on to the business end, and this was one of the big changes Browning implemented from the previous model to the Titanium Prestige. Now, previous XS models all came with these great big black clumpy Midas chokes with the gold band around the top. If you're an XS only, you'll know exactly what I mean. I think they also use the same chokes in the 525 SL. We have done a video on that, so do check it out. And what that meant is it added extra weight to a gun that was already historically a bit barrel heavy, a bit clumsy, and a bit tippy on the front. So what they did, Browning opted for titanium chokes by Briley, and of course they weigh about as much as a Kit Kat wrapper. See, I always go back to confectionery. Ultimately, what that did is it improved the handling of the gun. It made it lighter on the front end, it made it faster on the front end, and what that meant is you didn't have to start balancing the back end of the gun to get the balance back over the hinge pin. One final point about the barrels, obviously this gun, although it's 2017, it predates the XS Pro. So this is before Browning had come up with the legendary idea of putting barrel weights and stock weight, etc. into the gun. Because of that though, and you'll see this shortly, the gun balances beautifully on the hinge pin without the requirement of any extra bolt-ons. Fore end. Again, we look at the XS Pro, which is the comparison I make. That came with the beaver-tail forend. It still does come with the beaver-tail forend. Back in 2007 when this gun was launched, and of course right up to this gun, which is 2017, Schnabel forend were what you got on sporting guns. So we have a Schnabel forend. So we've got no design whatsoever on the forend iron or the forend latch, not even the traditional Browning bookmark head. Completely plain, void of any graphics, nice clean lines if you like. The Schnabel traditional lip, and we've got double point checkering, which I believe is what every competition gun should have. Whilst we're on the woodwork, this is a very nice piece of wood. This is actually a grade 4/5 piece of Turkish or European walnut. If you go back a little bit further than this, some XSs, not all, tended to have American walnut. I don't know if there's a flat spot for Browning where they had to source wood from elsewhere. I couldn't tell you, and of course these are made in Japan by Miraku, just for clarification. But this is a very nicely figured piece of wood, strong through the head, which is what you need on a competition gun. It's got nice black streaks with a nice yellow sort of orangey honey colouring, which I'm a big fan of. A really big fan of light coloured wood with dark streaks. In my opinion, you don't see enough of it these days. It tends to all be very light with no streaks or very dark. That's just the way things have gone. Double point checkering, same as the forend. And more importantly, this is why I believe this is the best of all the XS models, is we get a palm swell. Now, feel free to comment below. You might love your XS Pro. Personally, for me, it feels too skinny in the grip and I don't like it. This old original stock design, despite the fact it's got this dreadful plastic book plate, of course we've moved on to Inflex recoil pads now, because it's got the palm swell, because the grip feels nice, the radius feels nicer, for me it's just a better option. So we've got a palm swell like the previous XS, but not like the XS Pro, checkering over the top, factory adjustable comb through the back. And again, this baffles me massively. They had a great system with the Allen key through the back to adjust the comb, plenty of adjustment, child's play to use. And then when they launched the XS Pro, which could have only been minutes later than this gun, they went and reverted to the screws on the side, which what they were using on the 525, which is a dreadful system. Browning, what were you doing? Anyway, the gun itself, 32 inch, completely original, 8 pounds, 3 ounces. And just look at the balance of this. It's got that traditional positive Browning clunk that every Japanese shotgun manufacturer, shotgun owner is familiar with. On the hinge pin there, absolutely perfect. Okay, that's a gun out the box with no balancing, no gubbins, nothing added like you get with the new XS Pro. And again, for me, the XS Pro is too light. We've said this in previous videos, and all you're going to do is put a load of weight on, because from memory, the XS Pro out of the box in 32-inch was £8 1 ounces. This is £8 3. Believe it or not, those 2 ounces make a massive, massive difference in terms of the pointability and the handling of the gun without adding any of those barrel weights or stock weights. So onto the box. You will have seen this box on the channel before, I believe, in its silver form, or certainly in its brown form. This is a Browning opaline case, not an opal fruit case. We have got silver. This is the same case. It's identical to the case that we saw with the Browning 825 S3. If you haven't seen the review, guess what? Check it out. So silver or grey in colour. We've got Browning in big black letters in case you've forgotten what you bought. And we've got the bookmark in the corner. Looks like it's on the face of a watch. Inside we've got this nice black velour. As ever, this is a Negrini case. They manufacture for pretty much everybody in the shotgun industry, probably in the firearms industry throughout the world. Masters of case making, as you would imagine. And then, as I always like to look at, the little bits and pieces that tell me about the guns. This is the Belgian proof certificate from the proof house in Liège. We've got the serial number. We have got the fact that it is a shotgun, 12 gauge, 76mm chambers, which of course is 3-inch, 18.7 bore, 1550 barrels. I've weighed them at 1557 with the chokes in. Maybe there was a bit of snot on the rib, who knows. 813mm, which of course is the barrel length, and it's been proved at 1320 bar, which is of course HP performance proof. Inside we have the Browning Book of Words. I won't bore you with the details, but basically it covers about stuff like how to take it apart, what you don't do with it, and quite often it tells you about things like the chokes and how to adjust the trigger. So there are some useful bits and pieces in there. Ultimately, shotgun manufacturers have got to supply some form of instruction with shotguns, even though one would assume one knows how to use one. We've also got a warranty booklet, just to point out, here in the UK, if you buy a new Browning, obviously this is 8 years old, you will get a 3-year warranty across the board, which covers absolutely everything. But as I've said before, they claim to offer a 10-year on the action, but it is just the action frame. So just be aware of that when you're buying a gun. Also, if you do buy a new Browning and then you move it on, or you buy a nearly new Browning, the warranty is not transferable like it is with other manufacturers. Just a top tip from me. Rest of the box, trigger lock. Every Browning comes with one. We're going to talk more on a video we've got planned about shotgun security and what you can do to enable that you account for everything and all the potential risks. So starting off, that's not a bad shout to have a trigger lock. Then we've got a grey cardboard box. It rattles around like an old tin of screws. And inside, as you would expect, we've got the additional chokes. These are the titanium ones, and they floated off into the ceiling. So you've got full. We also get the 3/4, which is improved modified, half, which is modified, improved cylinder, which is quarter, and of course you get a cylinder as well. If you do want to buy a skeet specific choke in this series, you'll need to buy a standard Briley one. So 5 chokes in total. Choke key is the T-bar wrench. We like that as a good product. It's been around for years. Browning have got that absolutely right. Why on earth they couldn't put it with an MK11? Who knows? Allen key to adjust your stock from the back. Remember, you've got the 15-inch stock. I didn't mention that. Plastic butt plate with the hole in. All you do, put your Allen key up, give it a twist, and then the cone will move around at its leisure. You also get a spare trigger. This is the suede one. We've got the standard checkered one on there, and someone has obviously stolen or eaten the auto safety kit, so that's currently not present, but should you need one, they're quite easy to get hold of. And that has been, in my opinion, the best of the XSs. The original one was great. It was 2-barrel heavy. It was a bit plain. You didn't get any burning Jaffa cakes on the side. The XS Pro, I'll be honest with you, I'm not a huge fan of it, particularly the current model, which has got the checker in from the Beano. Not for me. Again, this is just my opinion. Feel free to comment below. Tell me what your thoughts are. Have you got an Ultra XS? Did you sell one? Do you wish you had one? Are you looking for a new XS? Is your favourite band in XS? Who cares? Let's have a chat. So that's it from me. Matthew Morgan, Eastfield Gunroom. Feel free to comment below about anything. If you've got any question about the particular gun, do contact me directly. Details are on the screen. Don't forget to check out the website. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. And from the final piece in the Browning Ultra XS jigsaw puzzle, I'll see you next time.